Years. We are very confident with the current team in FSC. We have a very good chairman, Mr. Vishnu Mohan. He's a banker. He's also had experience in commodities, which is also very, very important. Commodities, as you know, sugar is a commodity, like coffee and various other products. They're all commodities that get traded at world market price. Of course, as you know, that the subsidy is coming off, or we have a lady here. So I should say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And some ladies there at the back too. But as you know that the subsidies are actually coming off from the European Union in October of next year, or October of this year, sorry. So therefore we are subject to the market forces. So government, as you know, for the past couple of years has been working in respect of how to find new markets for, of course, our sugar. So it's very important to have a chairman and a board that actually understands those types of dynamics. The other issue, of course, is that we have a CEO too. Graham comes to us with a lot of experience in working in various other jurisdictions, various challenges. So he's there. And of course, we have Navin, who's the Chief Operating Officer. He comes from a sugarcane background. In fact, his mother still has a sugarcane farm in Vanuatu, but they still complain about him in Vanuatu. But the point is that we have a good team, they have a good strategy, and therefore government is very keen to be able to work together with FSC. Now, somebody today, we had a bit of a talanoa session at the mill in Ba, and somebody stood there and they said, you know, I'm a shareholder in FSC. The only shareholder in FSC that has put money in FSC for the past number of decades is the Fijian government. There are only about there are lots of shareholders in FSC, but 5 major shareholders own over 90%. And let me tell you that, because a lot of people don't know this. The major shareholders, as I said, is the Fijian government, is about 65 to 68%, 65%. The next largest shareholder is Fiji National Provident Fund, FNPF. The next one is Fijian Holdings. And then the next one is a company owned by YP Reddy called Reddy Enterprises. These are the 4 or 5 big shareholders. They own over 90%. Then there's about another 5 or 7 who are smaller shareholders. Then after that, there's lots of them. So nobody else, no shareholder has put any money in the FSC except government. So I think we need to be able to recognize that. Today, that if we were to convert all the debt that FSC owes government and convert it into equity, convert it into shares, every other single shareholder's share would become like 0.0001%. So government, of course, the reason why we are keen is not a political issue. For us, it's not a political issue. And unfortunately, a lot of people have, and as the Honorable Prime Minister keeps on saying, we want to depoliticize sugar. The reason why we say that is because we need to be able to take and look at the sugar industry from an economic perspective. If you look at it from an economic perspective, then you'll be able to find better solutions. And let me be frank with you. In Fiji, the sugarcane industry has always been along ethnic lines. The landowners were the Itoke, the people who were the farmers were the Indo-Fijians. If you look at a lot of the political parties, they all started from the cane industry, from the cane fields. So what we continuously say is that we have problems with the sugarcane industry. The Reserve Bank recently released some figures, and it shows, if you look at the sugarcane production, it's quite high. There were about over 20,000 cane farmers in Fiji. In the 1990s, when the leases started, the renewal started, and they weren't being renewed, if you see the lease non-renewals going up, you see the cane production going down. Cane production going down, the number of cane farmers are going down. Half of Vanuatu is now in Suva, the cane farmers. That's why when they play soccer, all the Lambasa supporters are there. They're all in Suva. But this is the reality. In the same way, as somebody also raised today in the talanoa session, it was raised in Lambasa also, some people are saying we cannot find cane cutters. And some gentleman, I don't know if he's here tonight or not, he said the reason why we don't have enough cane cutters is because government is paying too much welfare. Paying too much welfare. That is not the reason why we don't have cane cutters. हालात बदले हैं, आदमी के ख्यालात बदले हैं, आपके लड़कन के जो प्रायोरिटी बदले हैं, अब उन लोगों के लिए एजुकेशन है। पहले जो टाइम स्कूल में जावा जाता रहा, तो अगर कोई लड़का स्कूल अच्छा से नहीं पढ़े तो बतावा जाता है बोले तुमको लिए किसान बन जाएगा, तुम केन कट्टा बन जाना। तो जन ख्यालात है डिफरेंट है। अगर केन फार्मर है, अगर केन कट्टा है, दैट मीन्स तुम लो प्रोफेशन में है। ओ ही जेंटलमैन रहा, दिस वाज द गाय, ही सेड इट, बट इट्स नॉट ट्रू। He said that he's seen some, I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything, but I'm going to bring that as an issue. He said that he saw some people in the supermarket who actually were looking very healthy, and then they were getting payments. But we pay welfare now to people who are over the age of 66. We pay them a pension. It's $50 a month. We pay pension to grandparents who look after abandoned grandchildren. We pay welfare to people who are disabled, some single mothers, people who live below the poverty line. But that's not the only reason. The tourism industry today contributes 35% towards our GDP. तब आदमी वहाँ पर भी मांगे काम करे, डिफरेंट जगह पे आदमी मांगे काम करे। पहले लड़कन को लगे मोबाइल फोन नहीं रहा। Today we have 500 smartphones in Fiji. We have more SIM cards in operation in Fiji than the actual number of people. Some of you I know carry 2 SIM cards. Some of you for different reasons, others for legitimate reasons. Right? But that's the reality. Ye hakikat hai. So we have to face the realities. We have to understand what is happening in our economy. कौन चीज हम लोग के देश में हुए हैं लड़कन के। Today 69.4% of the entire Fijian population is below the age of 40. Anyone over here over the age of 40 is in the minority. People below the age of 40 are in the majority. I'm in the minority. This is why we do budget consultations with high school and university students. We want to know what the majority of the people are thinking. So, what we are saying as a government is that we take an economic perspective sugarcane industry as we do with everything else. So we understand that as a farmer, one of your major issues is cost of production from an economic perspective. The cost of production. We can offer you and say tomorrow we can say, oh, we'll give you $100 a ton. But what if your cost is $90 to produce a $100 ton of cane? Doesn't make any sense. This is why we are very pleased with what Graham and his team are doing. In that $202 million guarantee, they will use those funds to improve the railway system in Fiji. Those of you who've been in the cane industry know that the cost of cartage by rail is a lot cheaper than cost by trucks. Everybody knows that. In Fiji, 80% of all the cane that used to be taken to mills many years ago used to go by rail. Today only 20% goes by rail. So if you get more of your cane by rail, that means your cost of your cartage will come down. So these are some of the fundamental issues that we need to deal with, that we need to understand. So we recognize the fact. We know that there are some cane farmers, they have been, unfortunately, there's been a lot of injustice done to them. They bring a lot of gang of cutters, they house them for a few days, they feed them, they clothe them, they give them grog money, they give them shelter. One day before cane cutting, they may take off to another farmer because he's offered them slightly more. That happens. Today, people are complaining about, they're saying, oh, because Penang mill is not open, therefore those people will suffer. You know, people from Singatoka who have cane, they've never had a mill in Singatoka. They bring their cane all the way to Lautoka. It's a longer distance, if not the same distance from Penang away. But they managed to do that. You see, my point is this. we need to be able to understand what the problems are without all the other stuff that people say. You need to look at the problem. You need to look at, and then even cane harvesters, we provide 1/3. You set up a cooperative, the cane harvester costs $300,000, we give $100,000, we get you a loan with FDB, the cooperative then pays the balance. But that solves your problem for laborers. That also makes it a lot more efficient. We have an issue with some of the mills, and I'm sure the CEO would have told you some of the expenditures that took place under the Indian project that was done. In Ba Mill today, I saw it myself, the CEO actually told me that when the rail cart comes, you know, where you tip the cane, there's an incline. It should be probably a decline, there's an incline. So you need people to physically push it, you need a tractor to push it. In Lambasa they don't do it, it simply comes along because the incline is right. Very basic things like that. That obviously slows down crushing. So they are going to fix up those things. So we are here to tell you that we are here to support you. And we be able to work together to be able to find solutions. I'm not saying everything is hunky-dory. I'm not saying सामने बोलता सब चीज right है. तो झूठ बोले. आप लोग से बताओ कि कौन सी हकीकत है और मांगो solution लेके आओ. बैठ के बात करके solution लेके आओ. Somebody said to me, a farmer said to me when I was explaining all these things to them, they said to me, yeah, but even the side grass does not die from the weeder side. I said, bye. You see, what we are saying to you is that we want to work together with you. We've got a good CEO. We've got a good CEO who'll sit down and resolve those issues. But please, the only thing that I understand is that do not look at problems in isolation. Do not look at problems in isolation. We need to look at holistically. एक बात लेके नहीं मांगे बैठ जावा जाए. पूरा situation मांगो देखिए कौन चीज होए. Today, for example, as I was telling somebody, that one of the ways that trying to reduce the burden indirectly, of course, there are so many cane farmers, not cane farmers, but other people who have said to me, and as I said to the people this morning, they said, we wish we had free education in our time. I would have been able to educate all my children. We wish we had tertiary education loan scheme. At least I could have gone to university. I used to come first in my class. But my father could not afford to send me to university and I work as a mechanic today. There are lots of people like that. Those who have 4 or 5 kids, in the beginning of the year, you no longer have to pay fees from your own pocket. You don't have to worry about it. If you want electricity connected to, you don't no longer have to make the 10%. These are all things that we are doing to be able to ease the burden on the farmers and everybody else's cost of living in the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, whatever the case may be. We have also at the same time, as we've talked to the CEO, we are looking at the overall condition in respect of the various other aspects in terms of assessment. As you know, we gave the $10 million. The $10 million that we gave, about $6.6 million went towards the payment of anybody who had any deductions from their 4th cane payment. So people have deductions for paying TLTB, Lands Department, if they had a sugarcane growers fund loan, if they had a crop lien, there are money lenders like Joshua Raj, they have their deductions, farmers have their money deducted from their payments, FDB loans. So any single cane farmer that had any deductions from the 4th cane payment, we have paid. What the statistics showed us was that some cane farmers, if those deductions were made, because of Winston, they would not have got any money after all the deductions. अगर वो सब डिडक्शंस हुए तो कोई about 50%, right? How much? What? 53% of farmers के 1 cent में नहीं मिलता जेब में 1 cent नहीं मिलता, sorry, because of deductions खलास सब पैसा ले लेता. So all the deductions we paid, $6.6 million went towards that. The balance of the $10 million, which is approximately about $3.3 million, went towards paying the loans, paying it off completely, of all those farmers who borrowed money from the Growers Fund after Cyclone Winston. You are allowed to borrow up to $1,000. So that's where that money went. When we went to Vanuatu, we had some of the cane farmers complaining, saying, why did you give them that money? I said, because they had the cyclone, you did not have the cyclone. I said, next time you may have the cyclone, they may not have the cyclone, we'll help you. My point being is that when we look at these things, we look at it entirely as an industry. Sometimes farmers in Ba may do well, others may not do well in Singatoka or Vanuatu. We have to help them out. When it is a good for you, we have to help the people who don't have good days. When you don't have a good day, we'll be able to help you too. The other issue, of course, is some farmers have said to us, well, I have not benefited a single cent. I did not take out a loan because of Cyclone Winston, and I didn't have any deduction from my fourth cane payment. So why didn't I get some money from the $10 million? We have also said that we are, of course, you have money in your pocket because you've got money, or the entire fourth cane payment has come to you. There's been no deductions. So you're in a better place than the person who would have had deductions. But we accept the fact some farmers may be very good. They may have done their deductions in the first, second, third cane payment. But we will help you too. And we are looking at ways as to how we will do that. Those farmers who did not receive any benefit whatsoever from the $10 million, we're also working on that. But our immediate goal was to help those farmers who actually were in a pretty bad situation. That's why that $10 million was spent. So sometimes we have to be able to be patient about things. In the same way, with the strategic plan that the CEO has launched, we have also sat down with them. We went through that the 3 years in which they'll spend the money will go towards areas that will actually be able to help you directly. We're also expending, as you know, a lot of money in the cane access roads. The institute also will now come more under the guise of the FSC. FSC will have a more direct, contact. I'm sure the CEO would have talked to you about. Some of you are planting ratoons that are 20 years old. From Foreign Affairs from India, the External Affairs was here, and I was talking to him, and he was quite surprised. In fact, he was quite shocked that we're planting ratoons that are 20 years old. लोग इंडिया में भी तो काम नहीं करे. In fact, they do tissue culture. So, you see, these are some of the things that will be going to do, and we'll be working together with FSC. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just very briefly wanted to make those comments. I hope I'm not missing out, but please feel free. I'll open up the floor. If you have any questions, you can ask questions. If you want to ask in the vernacular, that's not a problem. And we can talk about it. But please understand that we are here to work together with FSC. We are confident with the FSC team. We are confident with the board. We are confident with the management. And sure that your cost of production must come down is very, very important. And also, at the same time, when we're looking at issues, we are looking at issues holistically. We need to be able to look at issues holistically. So that's all. I'll stop of the floor. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you have any issues, I'm sure a lot of the issues have already been raised with the FSC team. Graham, have I missed out on anything that I said previously that I need to say, or no. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks.